I didn't mean to notice the smell of her perfume before the paint. But the second I stepped into the room, the scent was there, warm, a little spicy, something that didn't belong to a house but to a person. My brush trembled once before I dipped it again. The walls were a tired cream. She'd picked a soft gray blue that matched the sky outside her window. "It's just paint," she had said downstairs, handing me the sample card as if it meant nothing. But her eyes stayed on mine a second too long, and I felt that quick, weightless jolt that made me say yes to a job I hadn't planned to take. She hovered near the doorway at first. Mid-40s, hair tied back loosely, a streak of silver catching the light. She wore an oversized shirt like it was armor, sleeves rolled halfway. She didn't look like someone hiring a stranger, she looked like someone keeping a secret. "You can start with the far wall," she said. Her voice was even, but her hands twisted the hem of her shirt. I nodded and knelt, spreading the tarp, the silence between us thick enough to hear the brush drag through paint. The window was open, rain had been falling earlier, and the damp air made the room smell like wet leaves and something electric. "You've done this before?" she asked after a while. "Enough to pay rent," I said. I risked a smile but didn't wait to see if she returned it. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she crossed the room slowly, like she wasn't sure she should. Her reflection passed over the window glass, and I watched it out of the corner of my eye, her bare feet, her small hesitant steps. When she spoke again, it was softer. "I used to paint my own walls," she said. Before everything got harder." I wanted to ask what everything meant, but the way she said it told me not to. Instead I kept my strokes even, feeling her eyes on my shoulders. The quiet stretched. I heard her breathe, then the tiny sound of metal, the door clicking shut. I turned. She had closed it fully now, palms still resting on the knob as if she might change her mind. "Sorry," she murmured. It was drafty. But she didn't move her hand right away. I swallowed. "It's okay," I said, and my voice came out rougher than I expected. Something shifted then, not in the room but in the air between us. She let go of the knob and leaned against the frame, eyes down, the corner of her mouth tight. I noticed a fleck of paint on my wrist and rubbed at it like it mattered. "You're very thorough," she said quietly. "Most people rush. I like to get things right." Her eyes flicked up at that. "Not everyone does." I didn't know what to say, so I dipped the brush again, the sound of bristles and paint louder than before. She stayed there, watching. The sky outside darkened suddenly, a low rumble rolled over the house. Thunder, or maybe something else. My phone buzzed in my back pocket, a single vibration. I didn't check it. She stepped forward, just a little, and I felt it, the space closing. Her perfume was stronger now, mixed with the smell of paint and rain. Then a sharp knock echoed from somewhere downstairs, 3 times, urgent. I froze, brush dripping midair. She looked at me, startled, like she'd forgotten anyone else could exist. Her lips parted, but no words came out. And the knocking came again, the knocking faded, then stopped. She didn't move right away, neither did I. The brush in my hand had gone stiff with drying paint. Somewhere downstairs a door closed, maybe wind, maybe someone leaving. "You can, keep going," she said, but her voice wasn't steady. She turned toward the window and pretended to adjust the curtain. I wiped my hands on the rag clipped to my belt, trying not to stare at the small tremor in her fingers. I forced myself back to the wall, but the rhythm was gone. All I could hear was my own pulse. Her voice floated behind me. "You're at the college, right?" "Yeah. Last semester. Art program." A pause. "Your mother must be proud. She passed away when I was 17. I said it lightly, like it was just another fact. She went still. I'm sorry. I shrugged, still facing the wall. It's fine. I stayed with my friend's family after that. That's how I met your son. She drew in a breath. I figured you might know him. I turned then. He said you'd moved out here after the divorce. He never mentioned you'd. I stopped myself, but it was too late. That I'd what? She asked. That you'd look so. I shook my head, heat rising up my neck. Never mind. Her eyes held mine, dark and unreadable. So old? She offered, almost daring me. No, my voice cracked. Not that. Something flickered across her face, hurt, or relief, or both, and she looked away. She crossed to the dresser, picked up a framed photo, set it back down without looking. My ex liked new things. New houses, new cities, new women. I liked keeping things. Maybe that's why this place still looks like a before picture. I didn't know what to say, so I let the silence fill in. The storm outside deepened, rain tapping the glass. She hugged her arms, staring at the window. When he left, I promised myself no more strays. No more projects. No one who could walk out. I'm not, the words came out before I could stop them. I'm not a project. Her head turned slowly. I didn't say you were. But the way she looked at me, half warning, half question, made something ache low in my chest. I set the brush down, wiped my palms again, and before I could second guess it, I stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough for her to feel it. The thunder rolled again. She didn't back away. Her hands stayed wrapped around her arms, but her knuckles loosened. I'm sorry, I said quietly. I shouldn't, don't apologize. Her voice was soft but certain now. We stood like that, the smell of paint and rain between us, and in the quiet she reached out, not to hold me, but to brush a smear of paint from my wrist with her thumb. Her touch lingered a heartbeat longer than necessary, the thunder rolled away, but the air stayed heavy. Her thumb was still on my wrist when a sharp chime cut through the moment, her phone, vibrating on the dresser. She snatched it up quickly, turning her back to me. I heard a man's voice through the tinny speaker. You there, Mara? You left your car at the office. She muted the call in a single motion. Her shoulders tightened. It's my ex, she said over her shoulder. He's in town for a day. He still has a key. I blinked. He still. I should have changed the locks, she murmured, half to herself. I keep meaning to. My chest went tight. The paint smell, the storm, her perfume, it was all suddenly too much. I backed up a step. Maybe I should go. Her head whipped around. No. Just finish the wall. She tried to smile but it looked like a wince. I reached for the brush, but my hand shook. Mara, I said her name for the first time out loud. It felt dangerous. This is, don't say it. Her voice cracked. Don't make it something. I stared at the wet wall, blue-gray and half done. The brush dripped a slow line down my knuckles. I'm not trying to, you're 21. She said it like a shield. You're my son's friend. I'm also standing here, I said quietly. And you're the one who locked the door. Her face flushed, she opened her mouth, then closed it. For a heartbeat we just stared at each other, the rain hammering harder, as if it could drown the sound. Then a real knock, not the storm, echoed from downstairs, a firm, deliberate rap. Her eyes went wide. He's early. Your ex. She didn't answer. She moved to the window instead, peering down through the wet glass. It's his car. I stepped closer without thinking. Our shoulders almost touched. Do you want me to leave through the back? No, her whisper was almost a plea. Stay. Please. We were too close now, close enough that I could see a tiny freckle at the edge of her collarbone. She turned her head toward me, our eyes met. For a second, everything else fell away, the paintbrush, the knocking, the years between us. Her breath hitched. Mine did too. She reached out as if to push me back, but her fingers landed on my chest instead. Not a shove, not a pull. Just resting there. I can't, she whispered. I know, I said. Downstairs, a key rattled in the front lock. Her hand trembled against me. I caught it gently, just enough to steady her, then let go. We stood frozen like that, two people pressed into a corner of a half-painted room, the sound of the door opening below, footsteps moved across the floor below, heavier than they needed to be. The muted slam of the front door echoed up the stairwell. Mara stood stiff at the window, her arms folded tight across her chest. He's not supposed to be here, she whispered. The sound of a man's voice drifted upward, casual, too casual. Mara? You home? She didn't answer. I saw her jaw work, muscles clenching. My own pulse was in my ears. You should go, she murmured. You asked me to stay. That was before. I set the brush down hard on the tarp. Before what? Before he showed up. Before I caught myself. Her eyes flicked to mine, sharp. Don't finish that sentence. We both jumped when the footsteps hit the first stair. I could almost picture the man climbing, hands sliding up the rail, still calling her name. I stepped closer to Mara. Does he know I'm here? No, she said. He doesn't know anything about you. Something inside me tightened at that. Nothing. She turned fully then, and for the first time since I met her, she looked angry, not at him, at me. You're a kid compared to him. Compared to me. Do you think I can just tell him? I'm not a kid, I said. It came out sharper than I intended. And you locked the door. You keep looking at me like what? She shot back, stepping closer. Like you want to, but you're scared to admit it. Her breath caught. For a second, the storm outside vanished, it was just the two of us, too close, the smell of paint and rain thick as a third body in the room. Downstairs the voice called again, a little louder, Mara. She flinched. I saw her fingers tremble, saw the conflict play out on her face, want, fear, regret. I shouldn't, she whispered. This isn't fair to you. You're not being fair to yourself either, I said. My voice shook. You think I don't know what this means? I do. We stared at each other, breathing hard. She looked away first, then back at me. Her eyes glistened, not from tears but from something hotter. The footsteps reached the landing. The knob on the hallway door turned slowly, testing. Mara's hand darted out and grabbed mine. Hard. Don't move, she whispered. I squeezed back, unable to stop myself. Tell me to leave, I said. Tell me now and I'll go. She opened her mouth. Closed it. The hallway door creaked open, a slice of light, a shadow of a man. And before anything else could happen, Mara leaned in, her lips a breath away from mine, eyes wide with a question she couldn't speak. The door on the landing swung wider. A tall man's shadow stretched across the hallway carpet, then stopped. Only his voice came through, strangely calm, Mara. We need to talk. Mara stiffened, still gripping my hand. Her breath brushed my cheek. For a second she looked ready to speak, but then she let go of me and stepped back fast, like she'd been burned. Stay here, she whispered, and slipped out into the hallway, closing the bedroom door just short of a click. I stood frozen, heart thudding. The half-painted walls felt like a cage. I could hear their voices through the thin wood, not words at first, just shapes. Then his voice, clearer, "He's too young. You're not thinking straight." My stomach dropped. He knew. I inched toward the door. Her voice came back low, shaking. "You were spying. You left your phone unlocked," he said. "I saw the texts." Texts? My throat went dry. We hadn't texted anything scandalous. Only the time, the paint color, the day I'd come. Unless. Then I remembered. The message I'd typed last night and deleted halfway through, a draft I'd left open. A confession I hadn't sent. "You can't control me anymore," Mara said sharply. "We're not married. You're still the mother of my son," he snapped. And that boy in there, the rest blurred as a rush of blood filled my ears. I backed away from the door, knocking over the paint tray. Gray-blue spread across the tarp like a slow tide. My phone buzzed on the windowsill. A new message, from Mara's son. "He knows. Be careful." I stared at the words until they doubled. The argument outside climbed and broke. "You're ruining him," the man hissed. "You always collect strays." "Get out," Mara said. Her voice had gone flat. "You don't live here." Silence. Then footsteps retreating down the stairs, the front door slamming hard enough to rattle the window glass. I opened the bedroom door. Mara was standing at the top of the stairs, one hand pressed to the wall, breathing like she'd run a race. She turned her head toward me slowly, eyes bright and unreadable. "He read your message," she said. "The one you didn't send." I swallowed. I didn't think it saved. It saved. Her laugh was small and broken. "He thinks we're," she stopped, searching for the word. "That we've already crossed a line." I stepped closer, but she held up a hand. "Don't." I stopped. "We can't undo this now," she said quietly. "Whether it's true or not, it's out. He'll tell our son. Everything changes after this." For a moment neither of us moved. The rain had stopped outside, leaving the world too quiet. Then, almost against her will, she reached for the smear of paint on my forearm, rubbing it away like she had before. Her thumb lingered, trembling. "Everything changes," she whispered again. The house felt hollow after the front door slammed. Even the rain outside had gone still, leaving only the faint tick of paint drying on the wall. Mara stood by the window, shoulders sagging, one hand pressed to her mouth. I stepped out of the bedroom slowly. "He's gone." She nodded without turning. "Not really. He'll call our son. He'll make it ugly." I stopped at the bottom step, gripping the railing. "Then let's tell him ourselves." She turned at that, eyes red but dry. "Tell him what?" "That you were painting my walls and she cut herself off. That I broke my own rules." I came down the last step, closer now than I'd ever been. "Tell him the truth. That nothing happened. Or," I hesitated. "Or that something might." Her laugh was small, brittle. "You think it's that easy?" "No," I said. "I think it's hard. But hiding's harder." She looked away, out the window at the dark yard. "When my marriage ended, I promised myself I'd never be ashamed of who I loved again. But this," her hands trembled. "You're 21. My son's friend. The gossip alone could bury us." "I'm not a secret," I said quietly. She flinched like I'd touched her. "You don't know what it's like to lose everything." "I do. My voice cracked. When my mom died, I lost more than a person. I lost the sense that anything was safe. But you make me feel seen again. Even when you're trying not to. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I stepped closer until we were a breath apart. I'm not asking you to fix me. Or to ruin your life. I'm asking you to decide if what's between us is worth being honest about. She closed her eyes. For a long moment we stood in silence, the whole house listening. Then she opened them, and all the careful distance was gone. I can't go back to pretending, she whispered. I don't know where this ends, but I can't keep lying about it. Then don't. A tear slipped down her cheek. She reached up and brushed the back of her fingers across my jaw, hesitant but certain. If we do this, she said, we're not hiding. Not from him. Not from anyone. I covered her hand with mine. Okay. Her breath caught. Are you sure? No, I admitted. But I'm here. For a heartbeat we just held each other's gaze, both of us exposed, no walls left. The smell of rain drifted in through the open window like a promise. She leaned in slowly, her forehead touching mine, eyes closing. From somewhere distant, a phone started to ring. Neither of us moved. Morning light crept into the room before either of us had moved. The phone had stopped ringing sometime in the night, leaving only the faint hiss of the radiator and the smell of dried paint. The blue-gray walls looked softer now, like sky after a storm. Mara stirred first. She drew back slightly, eyes searching mine as if to make sure I was real. We should talk, she said. I know. My voice was rough. She stepped away, rubbing her arms. He'll tell our son. Maybe he already has. Then let's get ahead of it, I said. Let's be the ones to explain, not him. Her lips trembled. He'll hate me for a while. Maybe. But at least it will be the truth. She crossed to the dresser and picked up the framed photo of her son again, thumb brushing the glass. I don't want to lose him, she said softly. I've already lost too much. I came up beside her. Then don't lose him. Just be honest. He deserves to know who you really are. So do you. She looked at me for a long moment, and then something in her face changed, a small, tired smile, but real. You sound older than you are, she said. I shrugged. You make me feel older than I am. A tiny laugh escaped her, breaking the tension. She set the photo back down and turned fully to me. So what now? We tell the truth, I said. To him. To ourselves. She reached out, fingers curling lightly around mine. You're sure you want this? I don't know where it goes, I admitted. But I know I don't want to walk away from you today. Her eyes filled but didn't spill over. She squeezed my hand once, hard. Okay. We stood like that, two people in a freshly painted room, holding on to something fragile but real. Outside, a car door slammed, someone walked past on the street, a normal morning continuing as if nothing inside had changed. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. I never thought I'd let anyone in again, she whispered. You did, I said. That's enough. For the first time since I arrived, the room felt warm. Not a victory, not a secret, just a beginning that might cost us but was ours to choose. Downstairs, the front door creaked. A familiar voice called up, her son, home early. We looked at each other. She took a breath. Ready? I nodded. Together. We started down the stairs side by side, hands brushing, neither of us letting go. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?